Well folks, it's here. After plenty of excitement and marketing on Nintendo's part, the Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks book is now available in Japan, and along with it, we get to see all kinds of things that didn't make the cut. From dungeon designs to character concepts, boss designs to lore. There are all kinds of interesting things that didn't show up in the final game. So today, we're going to look at some of this stuff and reveal all kinds of things not present in Tears of the Kingdom. Are you ready folks? Let's go! Starting with some alternate light dragon designs, since Zelda's hairstyles have been done to death. And there are a few of those in the book, with many of them having a much stronger resemblance to Zelda than the final one. Either way though, they're all cut for the following reason. The developers didn't want it to be too obvious that the light dragon was a transformed Zelda. They wanted players to figure it out, but not right at the start of the game. So, any light dragon designs that were too obvious, like those with Zelda style hair curls and facial features, got the cut. Regardless, onto another relic of the ancient past, Flux Construct. This one looked very different in the concept art for the game. Indeed, while the final version looked like a humanoid mech in the style of a golem, the early concepts for it were all over the place. You've got a stone plant covered golem, this ominous green one with cannon hands, and what looks like a giant robot owl. Yes, the devs actually floated the idea of Link riding a giant mechanical owl around Hyrule. It's goofy as all hell and looks kind of ridiculous, but we do kind of want to see what it looks like in game. So, modders, you know what to do. But Minoru wasn't the only sage to get a redesign or three. No, Yunobo had a few intriguing concepts too. Most notably, ones with his brainwashed pimp-like design. And these ones range from goofy to downright hilarious. You've got Yunobo the Goron King sitting on a big pile of gold bars drinking gold. You've got Yunobo riding in a Don-Don driven carriage like a royal on a world tour. And well, you've got whatever the hell this is too. Yeah, it's Yunobo blinged up to heavens, complete with a giant visor and platform shoes. He looks utterly ridiculous and we honestly kinda love it. Still, it's pretty obvious why it didn't make the cut. After all, can you even imagine trying to animate a boss battle like this? Yunobo's attacks just wouldn't work in this outfit. What's more, when you try to have him as a sage avatar, this outfit would kind of fall apart there too. So, as cool as it was, it makes sense why it was cut. Either way, to yet another sage that a few interesting concepts floated about. Riju. On her page, we get to see another 4 designs for her in Tears of the Kingdom, and they all look very different from the final one, to say the least. Since unlike the short haired look the final game got, these ones show off a more traditional hairstyle instead. As per before though, they were changed for practicality's sake. They wanted their outfit and hairstyle to be practical for combat purposes, and a long haired hairstyle would not work as well as a short haired one. Either way, enough about characters and clothing now, let's talk about some boss and enemy designs, like say Mrock's one. In the final game, he's known for becoming a sludge shark when he attacks, with the goal of the battle being to knock him out of that form with Sidon's ability. But it seems like the creator of the game didn't quite know what kind of sea life he was going to be here. Why? Because not only is there artwork of him as a shark, there's also artwork of him as a crab, manta ray and sea serpent too. So, it seems that the battle would have played out very differently there. And that's made even more true by his other artwork too. There, he's shown as everything from a bat-like creature to something resembling Bellum from Phantom Hourglass. Which makes us wonder something, should they have kept these forms at least the second half of the battle? Because at the moment, Mrock is not a fun boss to fight. It's tedious, it's annoying, and the attacks it does are more irritating than they are dangerous. So imagine if you change up a bit instead. Imagine if the second form had him turn into a sea serpent and pop out across the floor like a whack-a-mole game. Or hell, imagine he became a manta ray and was split into different forms or something like a Super Mario Sunshine boss. Oh, Splatoon 3 already did that one. Next. Unfortunately, the other regional phenomena bosses are a bit less interesting than Mrock is. Okay, Colgera has a few design differences, and Queen Gibdo was going to be a centipede at one point, but for the most part, the concepts of bosses seem to have been decided very early on. But there is one other exception, the Seas Construct. For whatever reason, we saw an interesting concept at boss 2, one that shows as a puppet. This version is held up by strings in its forms, with another picture showing it being yanked into the sky. It's a cool visual, and one which reminds us of Puppet Ganon from the Wind Waker. So perhaps this boss battle would have worked like that. Perhaps it'd be pulled up to the sky between phases and change shape like that boss did. Regardless, the version we got is cool too, so it doesn't really matter. It was going to be a good boss fight no matter what. And speaking of constructs, it seems that Flux Construct had a few other attack concepts considered too. Most notably, the ability to shoot fire. Yep, there's actually a concept for a Flux Construct that turns into a tank and shoots fire, like Master Koga's robot does. It's a really cool design, and with the 2 lasers plus fire setup, reminds us of quite a few shoot 'em up bosses from games past. So, it's a shame we didn't make the cut for the final game. Would have been amazing to see it as an alternate form for the level 2/3 versions, along with a spinning blocks form that gives us severe Mario and Luigi Dream Team flashbacks. Either way, on to some locations now, since a few of them have interesting design concepts too, like the Skyview Towers. While the final game's versions have a very handcrafted style, the other concepts of them take the idea in very different directions, with many of them looking like something of a sci-fi film. You've got Guardian style base chambers, wacky fins and decorations, energy balls at the top. Honestly, they're all very bizarre to say the least, and it makes sense why they were changed. The final versions have a very DIY style to them, and they look like something you'd expect from a kingdom like this, one that's mostly medieval with a bit of advanced tech. Meanwhile, the early concepts look more like something from a cyberpunk Zelda game instead, like say, that old rumoured Valley of the Flood game. Still, let's move on. To the temples now. Unlike the Divine Beasts, most of these don't have alternate designs in Masterworks. The Lightning Temple is unchanged, the Spirit Temple concepts don't show the early designs, and the Water Temple concept is sadly identical to the final game too. But there is one exception, and that's the Fire Temple. Put simply, the Fire Temple look very different in some of these pieces. Unlike the final version, it looks like a truly ancient city hanging from the ceiling of the depths. Here's an awesome looking one that mixes in parts of Ridani's design motive, and another one which makes it look like the buildings were carved into giant stalactites hanging from the ceiling. They're amazing designs, and ones that look a lot more unique than the one we actually got. What's more, they also look like they fixed a few design problems too. Most notably, how 99% of players trivialise the whole dungeon with something like a hoverbike. Alas, it wasn't to be. Here's hoping these designs find a use in a future Zelda game instead. On a different note, we've also got a few interesting backstory details about the game's world. How the Grey Sky Island was a Zonai capital, how the imprisoning war went down, how the Zonai helped the various species build the temples to the secret stones, etc. But we're not talking about those this time. Instead, we're discussing the Colosseums in the depths. More precisely, we're discussing what they're actually used for. Put simply, they might have been used for robot combat. Yep, the Zonai would supposedly make the constructs fight each other in a Hyrulean equivalent to Robot Wars or BattleBots. Pretty cool, isn't it? Regardless, on to another topic, one about the name of the game that we're sure no one else has ever covered before. Never mind. Apparently, half the internet learned about this while we were still making the video. Either way, the concept is cool nonetheless. Put simply, the game was originally known as Tears of the Dragon as a way to emphasise the whole dragon theme the game had going for it. It was a cool name and it did fit well. Like the light dragon designs from earlier, there was a problem with spoilers. So, to avoid emphasising the light dragon too much and giving the whole game away, they changed it to Tears of the Kingdom instead. An equally cool name and one without any spoilers included. And hey, the dragon theme got kept for a logo, so that's something. Still, on to Gandalf now. His final design in Tears of the Kingdom is incredible and perhaps one of the best designs in the entire series. As it turns out though, the concept art for him is no slouch either. There's this one that looks a lot like Twilight Princess Gandalf. There's this thinner one which looks like Girahim from Skyward Sword. and this incredible looking one which gives us severe Hyrule Warriors flashbacks. They're all great designs, and while not as good as the final version, ones which would have worked really well had they made the final game. So yeah, whatever happened, Gandalf was going to look incredible in this game. And speaking of Gandalf, the Demon Dragon had a few interesting design changes too, since while the final game's version has the fight in the sky, Masterworks shows that wasn't always the case. No, there's this picture which shows the Demon Dragon fight in the depths instead. At first glance, that's already kind of insane. It's clinging on pillars and attacking Link, it looks very menacing and ominous, and it's a very different style of battle from the one we eventually got. But here's the thing, the setup isn't the most interesting thing here. No, its size is very interesting too. Since as the devs point out, this dragon isn't the same size as the one in the final game. No, it's at least 3 times bigger. The Demon Dragon was going to be at least 3 times the size. That's truly mind-boggling, isn't it? In fact, let me show you a comparison made by the Zelda Lore channel owner on Discord. You see that bottom dragon? That's Dinraal. Then you got Dinraal scaled up to the Demon Dragon and the original Demon Dragon itself. Above that, there's Dinraal scaled up to the size of dark skeletons in the depths, and above that is the approximate size of the Demon Dragon in his concept art. Seriously, it would have dwarfed the Leviathans, made the likes of Mecha Link or Colossi look small, and put either Giant Bowser or Giant Luigi to shame. Yeah, it was absolutely enormous, and that's probably why it was changed too. Imagine trying to fight something the size of a mountain. Imagine trying to set up the depths in a way that this thing could actually move about. The final fight is just glorious to look at, with the 2 circling dragons thing, and an ending that just feels perfect after the amazing battle at hand. None of this would have worked with the Depths Dragon fight, no matter how epic it could have been. So, it's no surprise it was changed here. As insane as the idea of a mountainside dragon was, it just wasn't practical for this game and might not have been that fun to fight. Still, those are just a few of the awesome unused ideas found in Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom Masterworks. There's certainly a lot more where those came from, but we're going to leave those to wikis and people reading the actual book instead. Still, if you found this stuff interesting, give the video a like, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more, then leave your thoughts in the comments below or over on the Discord server today.